Hi, my mic was off. This is Wackaflcka with "Don't do this, it's noob," okay? This is fucking noob, so don't do this. Um, this is a new concept of kind of videos that I want to make. It's mostly focused on gold, plat, low diamond, silver, bronze. For anyone in lower elos that have watched skill cap videos and all these other things that are telling people to do everything like tethering and auto spacing and like mirroring your enemy movement and like all these other things, and in the end like all you end up doing is this in lane constantly. um and today I'm gonna just try and convince you guys to stop and tell you guys why it's noob and why you shouldn't really be doing it, and what you're gonna gain from stop doing it, but also telling you that you can still do it. But after this you should at least understand when you should be doing it and not do it constantly, okay? But first, hope you guys are having a wonderful day, morning or evening, or whichever fits. So yeah, I'm gonna get into it. So this is something you can probably watch every single player do in all the games that I play bot lane. And it's the second you come into lane, it's 130, 145, waves are coming, and the ADC is coming down like this, and then the second you before you even auto the first minion, um, at first, in this example here, we're just gonna call this dummy minions, right? So there's typically 6, but just to kind of give you an idea of how they do it, right? So they'll come into lane like this, and they'll just sit like this constantly, and then they will do this, and then they will do this here. They'll just start spamming like crazy, and then do this again, and they're like constantly like this. And for a more experienced player, it can be good. It can be useful, especially in some of the cases where you want to kind of hide the intention behind your movement, right? Because if you are doing this constantly, right, as an example, right, you're just doing this, and then your jungler's coming. When you've done this for like a minute straight, the enemy is not going to think much of it if you just stop pathing like this. So then, those are one of the reasons where you can one of the reasons why you would do it, to kind of mask when your jungler's coming. Because when you're watching Planamil or something, they'll be like this. And then the second the jungler's coming, they're certainly just sprinting it down towards you. And I'm going to show an example of that as well today. Another one is just another reason to do it is kind of to dodge skill shots. Or you're playing against a brand. In this example, this might be a brand, so you're going to walk up and down like this. And then the second he throws his W down, you can then either walk up like this, and then he will miss it, right? So my W is going to be the brand W here in this scenario, right? So he'll throw it like this, but then you're going to be pathing down like this, and then the second he throws it, you're going to be going up like this, so then you can dodge it. So these kind of scenarios is good. And I'm not saying that you should just stand still in lane, but I'm telling you that when you're constantly doing this the entire laning phase, and you don't really understand why you're doing it, and you're just doing it because maybe you think you're going to keep your hands warm or something, or you just want to keep the movement or whatever, it's not really dude, just stop. Okay, and generally speaking, most people in those kind of elos, the attention span when performing actions like this, right? You're constantly dancing back and forth, last hitting. Where's your time to look at the minimap? And at the same time, as another example in this video here, one of the other reasons why it can be bad is that in this example now that I'm going to talk about, this dummy is going to be Nautilus, right? So if I stand here, he can hook me. But if I stand here, he can't touch me. So technically, right now, I'm invulnerable to Nautilus, right? But then some people are going to sit like this constantly. And then all the Nautilus has to do is just wait. He's like, one, He starts to kind of think when he's going to throw his Q, and then he throws it. And then he gets hooked. But if I just stand here constantly, he's going to get frustrated. He's going to end up pathing down here, And then I see his movement, and I'm just like, okay, cool. He's down here now. He's path from here to here. I'm standing like this, and then I just go here, and then I just stand still again. And it's something you can also see if you're watching Rat IRL play support. He plays Brand. Like, you're rarely gonna see Rat, like, constantly spamming like this. At times he'll even just go up here, you know, and you'll just stand still completely and just emote or something, because there is no point in doing the movement. Like, you gain nothing out of it, right? And when you're playing gold, plat, etc., and you're doing this constantly CSing, like, just chill, just sit here, relax. You can look at the minimap, you know, then you can do like some small movements, maybe. Walk in for the CS, walk back, press your S, just stand still. And you can just really pay attention to the enemy, because you're watching this video, they are not. So they're still going to be spazzing out on the screen constantly, with no purpose at all. So reading their movement is going to be a lot easier, because they're not doing it with purpose, they're just doing it randomly. So when they start coming towards you, you know that something's happening, you know? And again, like, Lona or something, you just sit max range, you know? Just, it's one of the things that I do, I'll just chill. Because when you do nothing, it's even harder to read what you're doing, as opposed to when you're just constantly doing stuff, because then the things that you do more, it's going to become more obvious too. But when you stand still, then what are they going to read from that, you know? And they get a bit frustrated. And again, I haven't really said this, but one of the most important parts of League Ride is the first 10 minutes. When you're constantly doing this, you're getting stressed out, you're kind of like building up your mind a little bit, like you're intense, right? So, like, this is something that can like lead to you getting a bit tilted, frustrated already, because you are like already getting so agitated and like you're having like such aggressive movements and stuff like that, and you're like sitting at your monitor at home like, you know? And then it's kind of like that. Just fucking lean back in your chair, you know? Put your feet on the table or under the table. Just relax. Just do the movements that are necessary most of the time. Just chill. Okay? Because you're gonna be a lot more calm. You're gonna tilt less. Because you're not putting so much effort into it, but you're still gaining the same amount of like things from the game. So, you know, like, it's not like you're losing anything by not moving, and you're gonna not run into the risk of like overpathing, because like one time you might do this and then you overstep, as I said, and then you get CC'd. But this way you have a lot more controlled movement and gameplay, and you can really take your time to like do things. So like you can look at the minions, see which ones are low, and just take your time, you know. And this is something I'm going to expand on in Wackaflcka Explain, in terms of how to lane as two people, or like how to play 2v2, and then I think this is something that pairs really well with that. Just being calm and not spazzing out, because one thing is that you have the enemy, which has to read your movement, and then in particular if you're playing with a random support, they also have to kind of read your movement, right? And in that sense, it's more important for your team to understand what you're doing as opposed to the enemy. So that you're doing this constantly, you're also not just confusing the enemy. I say confusing, but you're not really doing anything. But you're kind of making it worse for your support as well, because you're making yourself harder to read for the person that do not know you, the random, right? Which is why I would suggest just not doing it. Just fucking stop, bro. You know, just don't do it. Just calm gameplay, chill, feet on the table, and just relax. You have minions, you don't have minions, then fine, you might have to dodge. Like, there are situations, as I said, where you have to move. Most of the time in the early lane, you'll just chill. Like, there's no need to do this. Just stop. You're just wasting energy and thoughts and processes and like the thinking parts of the game, which is very important. You know, as I said, looking at the minimap, it's a bad example now because this is a custom game, but I'm gonna change that now in a second or two. I just need to find the video, which I have apparently closed, although I had it open not too long ago. Let's see here. Sorry for the delay. I can cut this in Streamlabs, it doesn't matter. But some people might like to hear it, so we'll see. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is around silver, but I think it's fine because when you're dealing with examples, then extremes are easier to understand as opposed to the ones where it's really on edge, you know, like when it's like slightly shown, then it's very difficult to understand. But when you're dealing with extremes where you are literally doing nothing as opposed to something, then seeing the something is a lot easier. If you're already doing something and then noticing that little extra something is a bit harder to see, you know? So I think this is a fine example. So I'm gonna swap my screen now, right? I'm playing Draven, and it might be a bit unfair to show this because Draven is really aggressive, so the enemy has to respect me, of course. But again, it just goes to show how little movement I'm doing, right? And I even have to pick up my axes here, right? I don't have to dance. Like I have no reason to dance at all. And then you see the Jin coming in now, and Jin is also like one champion that will be difficult to display this with because Jin is a character that has only 4 auto attacks, and you're gonna notice this a lot easier with a champion like Saya or Jinx or someone. You're gonna see them spaz now a lot more, right? And you can see I'm doing a little bit of the spazzing because I'm demonstrating it. But again, I just press S. I'm just standing here because I don't have to stand in the bushes because I'm Arkai. And I just walk up, do some autos. Because they will walk up to me. Like at one point, they will accidentally misstep one more click forward because they're spazzing. Right? It's like there's going to be an opportunity for me to get an auto attack in just because of their movement and me waiting for them to just step up a little bit more. So it's easier for me to deal with their movement as opposed to me spazzing out. Because when I start spazzing out, then they're going to start pushing more back maybe or something. The brain might not be able to comprehend what's going on. So you might just end up confusing yourself or making the gameplay worse to yourself in the end, you know? You see, I'm spazzing out, right? But now I'm standing still. I can just look at the minimap. It's a bit bad here because it's the timeline is showing, right? But I'll get here now. I'm standing still. I see this minion slow. I see all the ones so fine now. I stand still. I'm free to look at the minimap for as long as I want. Because I know the next minion's not going to be low until X amount of time, right? So I don't have to spaz out. And I think you're going to notice improvement yourself as well. You just have to position yourself somewhere where you're not going to die and just getting the CS. And they will walk up and do something eventually to the point to where they will, you will get a chance to do something. And you can see how now, I'm out of range of Jin. This one's not as bad as what you're going to see later. But you can see that even when I'm not within range of him, he's still dancing, right? And I just, it's not, there's no point. Honestly, I'm playing overly aggressive here just because I just wanted to display this for the video. I also get another example here, which becomes very simple to understand. But you can see now, Jin is still dancing around here, right? He's just pathing a little bit. But he's making it worse for himself, because if he just stood still where he's standing right now, if I'm walking up, then he just walks back. He has no reason to dance. He can just stand still out of my or attack range, and then the second I walk up to him, he can start walking back. But because he's dancing like this, he gives me opportunities to auto-attack him. Whereas if he just stood still and just read my movement, and seen that I'm walking up, then he can start walking back. So he's making it worse for himself. And again, you can see now he's dancing back and forth. You see here, dancing still. Why? What are you doing, bro? What are you doing? What are you, you know? It's really dumb. That's why I'm saying just don't do it. And again, Jin is the champion. I said to myself when I went into this game today that I might not be able to get it from this game because I'm playing against a Jin and Maokai. So it's going to be really difficult for me to kind of display it here because he's going to mostly stand still and do nothing. But to my surprise, he's still doing the same movements. Maybe not as bad as some other ones, but he's still doing them. Right? And I mean, if you want to continue doing this, then go for it. But I would really suggest to just try and stop. And here, as you can see, I'm going to get into that. But you have to understand why you're doing it, because mindlessly auto attack clicking, you're giving too much power from your total capacity, right? You have a max capacity of attention span and actions that you can do in the game. And when your skill level is lower, then the capacity that you have to look at the minimap, click everywhere at the same time is lesser, then someone that's going to be more experienced with the game, right? It's like a challenger or something like that. Which is why I'm saying that putting power into this ability or skill at that point is not worth it, because there are other things you can put your power into to gain more in the laning phase, as opposed to doing these small clicks, right? And I haven't even watered here because I wanted to display this as well. But you can tell here, like Maokai hasn't walked up the entire game; he's just been dancing, right? And now you can see that he's doing this, right? So it's really easy for me to tell that I'm gonna get ganked because he's gonna start walking up, and that's the thing that I mean. They're just gonna do all these unpredictable things, and then suddenly they're just charging at you, right? So like, I knew that I was getting ganked here, but I wanted to just show it for the video because I don't really care, right? So I could have just like the second because he's been playing like here with Jin the entire time. So like the second he walks past here now, like here, now I know that I'm getting ganked. Or like here, because then, but it's kind of like similar, But again, like he's giving away this movement because he's zigzagging back and forth and all these kind of things, right? I know I've talked a lot of shit right now, but I hope that you guys get the idea that you just shouldn't really be moving that much in the game, especially in the laning phase, because you are going to stress yourself out and waste a lot of energy and effort into something that you're really not going to get that much out of. But yeah, that's basically it. I'm going to get another Wackaflcka explained that will elaborate on this, and when it comes to how to play the bot lane in terms of the other champion that you're playing with on your team. And then these kind of things are gonna also lead into that and also give you more of an idea as to why it's worse than what I've already said. Okay? Because what I've said now already is just that you're also confusing your teammate by just doing all these random movements. And as an ADC especially, you don't really want to be the one that leads the movements because you're playing with a Nautilus or something. He's going to be the one that has to do the things. So if you're zigzagging and your curse is somewhere else, you're gonna make things worse for you. So overall, just stop. Just do it less at least. Just take a chime, take a chime, yeah. Take a chime, just chill, relax, like you can see here. Let me swap back over again. Alright, just stand still. I mean, this is a very bad example again, but you can look at every single player, high elo. As I mentioned, Batarel does it a lot. You'll see it from him in how he plays the lane. He doesn't dance around a lot like that. He just stands still, puts himself in a good position, and then waits for the enemy to misstep, and then he'll do something. Right? So don't do this without purpose, like the zigzagging and stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to this, but in general, like, if you don't really understand everything to it, just don't do it that much, And that's basically all I'm gonna say today, that stop doing this, it's noob. I hope you guys got something out of this. If not, then I'm sorry, but I mean, it's pretty much TLDR. Don't fucking move in lane, just stand still and chill, I hope you guys have a good night, good morning, good evening, whichever one fits. This has been Wackaflcka, and thank you so much. I hope you guys have a good one. Peace.